Hello everybody and welcome to the Kansas Speedway for the 14th race of our 2006 NR2003 season here at the Banquet 400, where Jimmie Johnson starts on the pole position, your points leader who's been so dominant this season, alongside the 20 of Tony Stewart, who won this race in the chase last season. We are green and back underway. Or no, we are underway for the first time, my correction, here in Kansas. We are green, and it is Johnson and Stewart still side by side in turn one, followed by Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Clint Bowyer, native of Emporia, Kansas, not too far here from the racetrack. The rookie starts in fifth, who's had a nightmare of a rookie season, trying to turn that around today at his home racetrack. But Jimmie Johnson easily drives his way into the race lead here down the back straightaway, but his teammate Kyle Busch finds his way into second. How about Clint Bowyer driving up to third early? That 07 showing some speed as RCR tries to go for 3 consecutive wins as a team. But it's Johnson. Here comes the 5 of Kyle Busch. You got the run on the inside of Jimmie Johnson, and now Kyle Busch going for the lead here in Kansas on lap number 2. Johnson gets credited for the lap led on lap 1, but Kyle Busch makes the pass through turns 1 and 2, and Kyle Busch, your new leader here in Kansas, over Jimmie Johnson and Tony Stewart. Now on to lap 7, Busch has now been passed. It's now Tony Stewart's time to lead this race. Stewart leads his first lap of the day here on lap 8, but now Stewart under fire from the 42 of Casey Mears, having a very impressive start to this race, running up inside the top 5, now going for the race lead. He's also been a very quietly consistent season. That's why he's been hanging in the top 10 in points to make the chase all season long, as he leads Kyle Busch in second and Stewart drops to third. Casey Mears leads his first lap of the day here in Kansas, now on to lap 24. Mears gets moved up the racetrack through lap traffic, and Tony Stewart going to take advantage in the number 20. As I mentioned earlier, he won this race in the chase last season, so he's trying to make it 2 in a row at Kansas Speedway, and he's got a train of Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Busch, and Jimmie Johnson following him from behind. Busch in that Kellogg Chevy, Jimmie Johnson in his blue and black Lowe's Chevrolet, and then Mark Martin right there lurking in fourth in the AAA Ford, and Stewart gets moved out of the way. An aggressive move by Kyle Busch into turn 3, and Kyle Busch takes the lead here in Kansas Speedway once again here on lap 26 by passing Tony Stewart, but that did not last too long. Mark Martin led a couple of laps, and now it is Jimmie Johnson back in control in the 48 here on lap 32, continuing to be so strong in this race. Up at the front, scrapping out with Casey Mears, who's trying to take the lead back once again in that 42. Continues to impress today in this race. Now alongside Johnson for the lead, thanks to the lap car of Kyle Petty, who continues to park it right in front of the line of Casey Mears, but Mears holds the lead until the Hendrick cars take it back from him. Busch led that lap. Jimmie Johnson now applying pressure on lap 42, so a good 34 to go in stage 1, and Jimmie Johnson drives his way into the race lead on the inside lane, passing his teammate Kyle Busch once again. It is the 48 out front here in Kansas over Tony Stewart, who now Stewart swings to the inside lane, going for the race lead here on lap 44. The Home Depot Chevrolet trying to make it happen on the inside of Jimmie Johnson here in turns 3 and 4. Johnson on the outside lane, Stewart on the inside, and Stewart with that orange Home Depot nose gets a nose ahead of Jimmie Johnson and takes the lead here in Kansas Speedway by a nose there over Jimmie Johnson. They'll continue to battle alone in turn 1 and 2, but now Jimmie Johnson just too loose there on the outside lane, allows Tony Stewart to clear and take the lead. But after lap 49, Clint Bowyer gave it a shot, but a caution. Caution's out on the racetrack. Some sort of issue. Looks like big damage on the back of the 01. That is Joe Nemechek. His U.S. Army Chevy, I believe, got clipped by Tony Stewart and got sent into the outside wall, and also damaged the 41 of Reed Sorensen. And now bringing out our first caution of the day here in Kansas. Now we're going to get back underway on lap 53. 23 laps to go in stage 1. The hometown hero, Clint Bowyer, in that all-black Jack Daniels Chevy for Richard Childress, leading laps at his home racetrack, the Emporia native here in Kansas, for the very first time in his career. Meanwhile, back here, Jimmie Johnson continues to do battle with Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the mid-pack group here, but he did not have a good restart. He will continue to slip back, but right now, Clint Bowyer driving away in the lead here at his home racetrack in Kansas late in stage 1. But then a caution comes out not even 2 laps later for Jeff Burton being destroyed, and the 48 has damage. Jimmie Johnson, who was so fast, led a good chunk of laps there early in this race. Significant damage to that race car. Might take him out of contention for the victory. And now Boyer gets shuffled out of the way by Tony Stewart on lap 62. So 14 to go in stage 1. Tony Stewart takes the lead, and he drives away. And coming to the front straightaway, Tony Stewart will win stage 1 here in Kansas. Casey Mears, Kyle Busch, Brian Vickers, and Mark Martin in the top 5, followed by Clint Boyer, Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Dale Jarrett, the top 10. So Tony Stewart earns his 4th stage win of this 2006 season here in Kansas, taking stage 1. Well on his way to back-to-back Kansas Speedway wins as he looks for his 2nd win this season. Of course, he won at Martinsville a couple of races ago to put himself in a good spot at victory lane for the first time this season. Now he's 3 wide. Here comes the 25 of Brian Vickers, the G-Max Chevrolet to the inside lane. How about Vickers? He works his way underneath Tony Stewart, and now Brian Vickers is going to lead the way in Kansas for the first time today in a crash. Brings out the caution again on lap 62, or lap 82 rather. That is the 43 of Bobby Labonte, who is crashed into the outside wall. Looks like maybe Martin Truex, Elliott Sadler, Scott Riggs were the cause of that. Also collected in this incident. So Vickers, the leader, and now he pits. So the varying strategy in this race continues as we get back underway. On lap 87 is now once again the hometown Emporia, Kansas native Clint Boyer to the inside of Casey Kane, taking the lead away. As the back, Reed Sorensen is going extremely slow. Jimmy Johnson, of course, has to dodge a bunch of lap traffic after pitting to get that damage repaired. His speed has not been the same since. A bunch of cars all over the place, but right now it's Clint Boyer leading over Dale Jarrett, who has found his way all the way up to 2nd, having a very impressive early run, but still fighting back there in the top 4. But now Dale Earnhardt Jr., your Daytona 500 and 2004 Series champion, has taken the lead here on lap 190. Sorry, not lap 190. That's way too far in the distance. Lap 100. Now on lap 107, Jr. gets moved up the racetrack, and Kyle Busch will find his way in the race lead once again. That neon yellow Kellogg Chevrolet getting the job done once again as he gets by the 42 of Casey Mears. Now Kyle Busch going to do battle with the 20 of Tony Stewart. Stewart to the inside of Kyle Busch. Can he take the lead? It's going to be close. Going to be side-by-side the line. Casey Mears lurking 3 wide for the lead here in Kansas. Great racing. Look at this. Casey Mears makes it 3 wide with Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch, and Stewart threads the needle and makes a brilliant pass for the lead here in Kansas. Tony Stewart looking dominant today, looking like he's well on his way to victory. Now here we are on lap 148 with 43 to go in stage 2. Stewart going to come in for his final pit stop of this stage under green. And my correction, there's actually only about a little under 20 to go in the stage. So Stewart comes in, as well as Brian Vickers, who is running 2nd. So if those two both come down pit road, then it should cycle out to be the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the rookie out of Chesterfield, Virginia, who already had that huge win at Texas Motor Speedway, the first of his career, and his FedEx Freight Chevrolet. Makes his way through turn 3 and 4, and now Denny Hamlin will bring it down the pit lane. So now it should be a battle to see whether Tony Stewart can cycle out in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Clint Boyer, who short-pitted him by a good 15 to 20 laps here on strategy. So now here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8. Crosses the start-finish line here, lap 149. So 17 laps to go in this 2nd stage of racing. Tony Stewart just now on the apron, making his way out of pit road. Where will he merge out in reference to Dale Jr.? Down this back straight, Jr. got the one on the outside lane. Stewart coming up right next to him. They're going to be side by side for the lead into turn 3 and 4. Jr. had to lift a little bit for the aggressive slide up the racetrack by Tony Stewart, but he keeps the momentum on exit. And how about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? He beats Tony Stewart on the pit cycle and takes the lead back here in Kansas. And we'll continue to hold it here. The following lap, though, Jr. for some reason racing Martin Truex and his former teammate Michael Waltrip just dives to the inside lane and completely gives up the lead and 2nd place. So now Tony Stewart's back out front with Clint Boyer in tow in 2nd place right there behind him. So Jr. drops down to 3rd. Cautions come out. Half the field is still catching up as we get ready to go green here in the restart zone. Not sure what happened to bring out the yellow, but either way, a late caution in stage 2 going to make it a duel to the end of the stage. Just 3 laps remain in stage 2. Absolute shootout here. Tony Stewart will lead over Clint Boyer, who's in a bad spot now with the 3 wide aggressive move by Mark Martin. forcing Casey Kane to go 3 wide with Clint Boyer, shuffles the 07 back. Now Dale Earnhardt Jr. will try to follow Mark Martin through as they try to chase down Tony Stewart back here. This pack of back markers and guys who have just been struggling today almost get into an accident, but they seem to be keeping it going in the right direction. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Tony Stewart still leads the way here, and now coming to the last of the stage, here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8. The 8 to the inside of Tony Stewart, and Jr. takes the lead back here in Kansas. Can Dale Jr. get his first stage win of the season? It is looking increasingly likely as he takes the last lap of stage 2 as the leader ahead of Tony Stewart and Casey Kane. And now through turn 3 and 4 for the final time in this quick short run down the stage. There's a caution incident with Martin Truex. We'll get to that in a minute. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins stage 2 in Kansas, his first stage win of the year. Boyer, Stewart, Kane, and Martin the top 5. Followed up by Casey Mears, Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth. And the final stage point goes to Travis Quaffle. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets his first stage win of this season, and the caution was out because Truex and Kurt Busch tried to go for the same gap at the same time and just ran out of room. And Truex came down, Kurt Busch came up. Truex gets spun around to the outside wall. He was a lap down, but he's having a really good top 15 run, Truex was. That's going to come to an end, as will Joe Nemechek's race, who has blown a motor as we go green here on lap 171. Now on the lap 173, Junior is still leading on the restart, but Nemechek blows a motor, no caution. We stay green. Now here comes Clint Boyer in the 07, the Jack Daniels Chevy to the inside of Earnhardt's Budweiser Chevrolet, and now Clint Boyer will take the lead away using Reed Sorensen as a pick. And Boyer now leads the way here in Kansas, trying to get his first career win at his home racetrack. What a moment it would be if he can pull this off. On the lap 213, Boyer's done a damn good job of holding the lead, but here comes Tony Stewart in the 20. So strong all day long, has nailed his pit strategy. He's been very good at saving his tires and being up there right at the end of the run. And here he is once again, 51 to go on the outside of Clint Boyer for the race lead. A great battle between these two. Clint Boyer, the rookie, here at his home racetrack. Smoke up ahead, and Tony Stewart, the former championship contender, as Greg Biffle goes crashing with Robbie Gordon off into turn 3. And eventually the caution is called, but an incident right there between the 16 and the 7. So Greg Biffle and Robbie Gordon go crashing. That brings out the yellow. Both stay in the race. Now it's going to go back green. There's a lot of guys all in the wrong positions here on this restart with all the weird pitting. And the 37 of Bill Elliott just got dumped as we go green by Kevin Harvick. They kind of glitched together for a second, and Harvick just ended up spinning Bill Elliott through the grass, and that's going to bring out the caution flag once again here in Kansas, as back at the front of the field. Back here, we got nearly 4 wide. Kenny Schrader almost wipes himself out racing Jimmy Johnson, who is right now in the middle line, a very tough position to be in going to turn 3, racing Carl Edwards and Travis Quaffle as they go into the corner. There's going to be some contact into the wall. Goes Sadler and Quaffle. They're crashing and collecting your points leader, Jimmy Johnson, as well as the 99 of Carl Edwards in a 4-car accident. Jimmy Johnson gets another hit there from the 99 at the very end. And what was looking like a tremendous day has gone sour for the 48 team. And Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, who is also running top 10, gets collected. I'm just going to set up a restart here with 36 laps to go. It is looking like it's going to come down to a duel between Clint Boyer, the Emporia, Kansas native, trying to get his first career win at his home racetrack, and Tony Stewart, the wily veteran who is always in the championship conversation and has won the most recent race here in Kansas. And Tony Stewart gets a amazing restart, easily clearing Clint Boyer and getting a bit of a cushion that he can use, as Stewart now starting to drive away on this restart. Now on lap 234, caught with Jeff Green, sideways 4 wide. Schrader, Hamlin, Marlin, cars bouncing off each other. Jeff Green finally gets body checked into the wall. Somehow we stay green. I don't know how they didn't wad him up in a 6 or more car pileup right there. That was a bloody miracle. But they keep it green, and now we have a great battle between Tony Stewart and Clint Boyer. Just 2 laps to go in this race. Boyer's stuck behind the lap car of Matt Kenseth. That might do in the 07's chances, as now Tony Stewart is about to put Jimmy Johnson 2 laps down as he takes the white flag. Final lap presented by Credit One Bank here in Kansas for Tony Stewart, trying to go back-to-back here in Kansas and establish himself as one of Jimmie Johnson's biggest threats so far for this championship with his second win already in the first 14 races of the season. Stewart now racing Schrader, who runs in 14th, Edwards, who runs in 9th. Both lap cars. Clint Boyer stuck behind Matt Kenseth is what's going to cost him his first career win at his home racetrack, no less. And to the start-finish line, Tony Stewart wins in Kansas in dominating fashion, but he holds off a late charge from a very impressive Clint Boyer today in second. Earnhardt Jr. third, Kyle Busch fourth, Casey Mears rounds out the top 5 as he's going to barely hold off Mark Martin here at the line, who will come in 6th position. Ryan Newman follows that up in 7th, as well as 8th place Casey Kane, and then Carl Edwards and Scott Riggs each a lap down, running your top 10. So Tony Stewart goes back-to-back here in Kansas. Now the winningest driver all time at Kansas Speedway. He's the only driver to have multiple wins at Kansas is now Tony Stewart. And it is his 28th career win, tying him for 20th on the all-time wins list. And he led the most laps today, leading 128 of 267. You see the final race results there on the left side of your screen. And we'll see the updated Chase standings shortly. Now here are your updated Chase standings. 14 races in, so just past halfway in the regular season. Jimmie Johnson still holds a commanding 107-point lead over Tony Stewart for that regular season title. Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick still looking good with Kyle Busch, 3rd, 4th, and 5th respectively. Carl Edwards, 6th. Casey Mears jumps up to 7th with another strong run. He's looking good to make the chase, as Greg Biffle there in 8th. And now Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr. sit on the chase bubble in 9th and 10th respectively, with Scott Riggs, Jeff Burton, Martin Truex, Jeff Gordon, and Denny Hamlin all within 25 points of that cut line, trying to fight their way in to the chase as we start to wind down this regular season. So a big win for Tony Stewart. He goes back-to-back here in Kansas. And as we end this episode, as always, going to give a special shout-out to my channel members. Thank you very much to Brenda Breen and Jeremy Isley. I really appreciate your guys' support. It means a lot to me and helps this channel continue to grow and do great things, produce awesome content on our road to 1,000 subscribers. We are close to getting there. We've just passed 950 subscribers. Of course, those of you that are watching and are not subscribed, I highly encourage you, please do subscribe. It's completely free. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it really, really helps me out, and I would really appreciate it a ton. And until next time, I hope you all have a good one.